So my name is Molly. I'm a member of the Beehive Collective, and we're a group of folks that work together as artists and educators and organizers and activists, and we create large-scale graphic narratives to help explain really complex issues addressing social and environmental concerns, while really trying to highlight and bring to the front and the foreground the voices of those who are most impacted by the issues that we're covering. I think the most important issue in the climate discussion today is questions of sovereignty and of communities being able to choose what's best for them based on their situation and where they're coming from. I'm working towards fighting for a world where people and communities have the autonomy to make the choices that are right for them. So this image behind me is called The True Cost of Coal, and it's all about mountaintop removal coal mining in the Appalachian Mountains here in the United States. And so in this image we're exploring the depth of that issue and trying to look at the complexity that is mountaintop removal. And so we start this poster actually way back when coal and the mountains were being formed, and we move throughout history and we look at stories of colonization and industrialization. We look at stories of workers' rights, and particularly the mine wars and ways that coal miners were fighting for their basic human rights in the Appalachian Mountains, and the ways that that sparked unionization all across the country. As we move throughout the poster a little bit more, we start to look at the story of mechanization and the way that coal mining has changed incredibly rapidly, and that where we are today is a highly mechanized version of coal mining with mountaintop removal coal mining, which is, in addition to being really mechanized, it's incredibly destructive both to the social fabric as well as the environmental fabric of the Appalachian region. And so we spend some time looking at ways that people who live near and around coal mines and slurry impoundments and ash ponds, we look at the ways that they're impacted and the ways that has shaped their life, as well as looking at sort of the global system that feeds and demands mountaintop removal coal mining and coal in general. And as we move forward and move throughout, we also really try to highlight the stories of resistance and the ways that people on the front lines are taking power back and are using their power and their voices to take control of the situation and stop mountaintop removal, while also looking forward to what they would like to rebuild. And so we see a whole scene of regeneration in ways communities are not only saying no, but also what we're saying yes to, and what people are building for ourselves and for what happens next. So in this scene right here, we see a story of a community organizing space where folks are coming together from all different walks of life. These are all endangered species from the Appalachian region that are joining together in the root ball of this fallen tree. We have, animals like the Virginia big-eared bat and the snail darter coming from air and from water and from the land to share stories, to gather understanding of what's happening in their community. They're surrounded by books and music of history, while also looking at the resources and the gifts that their community has with natural resources and understanding the ways that those resources cross political boundaries. And in the center, they're doing some mapping, trying to understand what they can do in order to solve the problems that they're facing, and what ways their community can really move towards more autonomy in their decision making and the things that are taking place where they are. So this is not only based on a theory of change, where folks on the front lines are creating the direction and the movement of all the solidarity activists that are involved and the way that the general anti-mountaintop removal movement is working. But it's also based on the Highlander Center, which is a popular education center in Tennessee that has been doing social justice organizing for an incredibly long time, including a lot of work in the civil rights movement of organizing folks to fight for basic civil rights. And that work continues today, and they do a lot of anti-mountaintop removal work as well as other organizing. So all of our graphics are incredibly collaborative. There isn't any one single illustrator or storyteller or story developer, and all of our research is coming out of listening projects. So our collaboration really starts with the fact that we're listening to lots and lots of different people with lots of different perspectives about what's going on. And then there's a whole team of folks within the Beehive Collective that start figuring out how to connect those stories and round those stories into a narrative, and how to share them, and how to turn those into metaphors, and how to turn those metaphors into images. And so throughout the entire process, not only are we working together within the Beehive Collective, but we're also sharing our ideas and getting a lot of feedback from the wider community, including folks in Appalachia, in order to make sure that we're telling the story right, and that it's something that people can understand, and that's telling the truth of what's happening with mountaintop removal coal mining. Folks can contact us largely through our website. That's a good spot. It's just www.beehivecollective.org. And a good way to connect with us and the work that we're doing is to actually invite us to come to your community and share these stories and give presentations and workshops about what's happening on the front lines and ways that your community can act in solidarity with the communities that we're sharing their stories of.